scary roommate. David had just moved into his dorm room at the University of Michigan, was unpacking his belongings, and felt as excited as his first year. When his roommate, Dale, finally arrived, David felt immediately uncomfortable. Dale was shy and barely noticed Dan's presence. "Hello, I'm David," he said, extending his hand for a handshake. Dale stared at David's hand for a moment before shaking it lifelessly, almost mechanical. "Yes, Dale," he muttered. Although David tried to make small talk, Dale's answers were short and awkward. That night, after exploring campus, David returned to find Dale still glued to his laptop, ignoring David's greeting. As night falls, David tries to sleep, but is disturbed by the light from Dale's laptop, which stays on until 3 a.m. David finally fell asleep, only to wake up an hour later to find Dale sitting on the edge of the bed staring at him. "Dale, what the F are you doing?" David asked, his voice shaking. Dale whispered, "Sorry," and lay down, but David couldn't shake the restlessness. The next day, during orientation, David discovered Dale sitting on the ground, rubbing the bark of a tree, causing the other students to panic. That evening, after hanging out with new friends, David returned to his dorm to find his laptop and personal belongings ransacked. When he confronts Dale, he receives a loud and unconvincing denial. "Dale, have you gone through my things yet?" David asked. "No," Dale answered quickly, too quickly even. That night, David caught Dale rummaging through his pockets. "What are you doing, Dale?" he asked. "I think you took my toothbrush by mistake," Dale said, his voice monotone. Feeling unsafe, David moves into a new dorm room, but on his third night there, he woke up to the sound of someone trying to unlock the door. Through the peephole, he saw a figure and called campus police. When they arrived, they found Dale trying to break in. Dale was taken away, and David never saw him again, but the scary memories remained throughout his college years. Stranger in the forest. While studying at Binghamton University, Alex and his friends often went to a secluded place by the lake in the school's nature reserve. One October night, they decided to have a brochette, a casual beer drinking session around the campfire. As the night gradually fell and laughter filled the air, they suddenly heard the unmistakable rustling of leaves nearby. "Did you hear that?" Alex's friend Mark asked, his voice a little scared. "Yeah, probably just some animal," Alex replied, trying to sound confident. But the sounds continued, getting closer and closer. "We should hide the beer," Alex suggested, afraid it might be the campus police. They hid their beers and sat in tense silence, only to realize that the sounds were not just of someone passing by, but of someone circling their campsite. "That's strange," Mark whispered. "What should we do?" A large tree branch suddenly flew into their campfire, causing one friend to run away. "Let's get out of here," Alex said, his heart pounding. grabbed their things and ran towards the dormitory, hearing footsteps chasing after them. When they finally reached safety, they watched from the dormitory window as shadowy figures walked through the woods, disappearing into the darkness every time a car approached. Haunted them, and they never ventured into the woods after dark. Mysterious knocking on the door. In Los Angeles, John enjoyed the privacy of his dorm. One night, while preparing for his biology exam, he heard a gentle knock on the door. At first, he ignored it, but the knocking continued. It's probably just the wind, John told himself, but he was still a little restless. Finally, he got up and opened the door. The hallway was deserted, not a single person in sight. Confused, he checked again before returning to his room. The next night, the knocking on the door became louder and louder, waking him up. "Who's that?" John called, trying to keep his voice calm. There have been no responses. He hesitated before opening the door, this time certain that he would meet someone. But no, the hallway was completely deserted. However, he noticed that the shared bathroom door was slightly open. What the hell is going on? John wondered, feeling both scared and curious. He entered the bathroom and looked around. Suddenly, he saw a pair of heavy black shoes on the ground, but there was no one inside. "Hello?" John called, his voice echoing in the silence.
Hello.
A cold laugh suddenly rang out, startling John. "Who is there? This is not funny at all," John shouted, filled with panic. But no one answered. He quickly ran out of the bathroom, returned to his room, locked the door, and sat panting. The next day, John asked his roommate at the dormitory about what happened. "Did you hear anything last night?" John asked, his voice still shaking. "I heard a knock on the door, and I saw a pair of black boots in the bathroom. Then there was laughter," John said, eyes wide. But no one admitted to pranking John, and everyone seemed sincere. This horrifying experience left John anxious, haunted by thoughts of who might have targeted him and why. Every night he lay down and listened, afraid that the knocking would return. Story 4. Drug at a party. At the University of Iowa, a freshman decided to go with his roommate to a fraternity party. When they arrived, they were greeted by a chubby, sweaty guy handing him drinks. "That'll give you a ing face." The guy smirked. The freshman reluctantly took a sip. Almost immediately, he began to feel dizzy and disoriented. The stranger continued to talk to him. His face became confused. "I don't feel right," he muttered to his roommate, who quickly realized something was wrong. Struggling to stay upright, the freshman and his roommate pushed through the crowd to get out. "We need to get out of here," his roommate urged, helping him to the car. As they drove back to campus, the freshman's mind was spinning, and he feared the worst. "Have I been taken advantage of?" he asked, afraid of the answer. Returning to the dormitory, he checked himself. His clothes were still intact, but "I must have been drugged," he told his roommate, who nearly called the police. They decided not to, feeling stupid and not sure what proof they had. Freshmen cannot shake this experience. Every shadow seems menacing, and every stranger's gaze seems menacing. He realized how close he had come to something terrible, and that thought haunted him long after the party ended. A few days later, he received an anonymous email with no subject line. "You are so lucky. Next time, you won't be like that." Attached was a blurry photo of him at the party, passed out on the couch. Panic rose within him. "Who sent this?" he whispered, feeling a chill run down his spine. The fear that the stranger was still out there, watching, waiting, turned his college experience into a living nightmare.